Okay, welcome back to I Am AAPC. I am here chatting with Barb Williams. Barb, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thanks, Heather.
First, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Where are you from? Where are you right now? Do you have pets, kids?
Sure. I was born in Pittsburgh, raised in Pittsburgh. I'm still in Pittsburgh.
Okay, I love that.
I'm trying to leave Pittsburgh.
Oh no, why?
Well, I'm starting to think about my twilight years, and I actually purchased a farmhouse out near Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, that I'm trying to renovate so I can have it for my retirement place. So
I love that.
I'm in transition. I spend half my time in Pittsburgh, half my time in Punxsutawney. So yeah,
Cool.
so that's what I do. I have one son, David. He's 42, and he keeps me hopping like your son will keep you hopping.
As children do.
Yes, and but I love him dearly. We have a lot of rescue animals. In fact, when I was getting ready to leave my farmhouse on Sunday, there's a rabbit hole at the corner of the farmhouse, and something crawled out of it, and I like took a step back because the rabbits usually don't come out of it when I'm there, and it was a kitten that someone had dropped off, and it kind of made its way in there, and so I brought it home. It's
Yeah.
a little tortoiseshell, and her name is Butterscotch.
Oh, that's so
So,
exciting.
so she's cat number 5.
Okay.
But first one for me in this house. I'm kind of staying with my son during the transition.
Sure.
But we also have 2 dogs. We have Tank and Liberty, and Tank is a red-nosed pit, and Liberty is an Australian cattle hound.
That's
And
so fun.
yeah,
I think I can't remember. I did one of these interviews a couple of weeks ago, and she also had a red nose pit.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's my boy.
Yeah.
He loves me dearly. So he's going to start traveling with me up to Punxsutawney and keep me safe from the bears and
I love
the
that.
wildlife up there.
I feel like, in my experience, everyone in the medical coding community, they're all animal people. I don't know what it is, but like, yeah, we're all into the
Yeah,
cats and dogs, and I love it.
yeah. So I mean, my whole family does that, rescues, and
Yeah.
it's just it tears at my heart to see sometimes what people do to animals. So I can't watch those commercials.
I know. Yeah, the Sarah McLachlan ones.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad that Butterscotch found her way to you, because it could
yeah.
have, that, what a blessing. So
It could have ended badly. Yes.
it's true. Well,
So
thank you for sharing. That's exciting about your farmhouse. David sounds great. The
he's
animals sound amazing.
yeah, Dave's a good kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, I guess we could talk about like professional stuff if we want to.
Sure.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, so how did you get into medical coding? Can you tell me the trajectory of your career and how that's gone?
It's not a normal entrance into medical coding.
Okay,
And then again, nothing in my life has been normal or average.
cool.
I actually got into medical coding as a contingency plan. Uh,
Okay.
so I was trying to uh, transfer or get out of one industry and into another. And I decided to go back to school, but I decided to go to medical school. So there are prerequisites and, biology and chemistry and everything that you have to have. Um, it's actually kind of sad, but the week before I was supposed to sit for my MCATs, my mother passed away, and I lost interest
Yeah.
and focus. And I continued on with the contingency plan, and my professor, I was taking medical insurance classes, um, anatomy and physiology. I was taking the medical terminology, and then this program opened at the college for medical insurance. And I said, well, I got a letter saying you meet the prerequisites. Would you like to join this? Okay, I'm still interested in healthcare. I'll take this. And then my professor recommended me for a position as a
Oh,
biller slash coder. And that got me started. And then every position I've had since then, they've basically come to me. So I have not had to do a job search. So when people say, how do I search for a job? Well,
Oh, wow.
I can tell you, but I can't tell you from experience. So I started out as billing and coding for an imaging facility. And I had a background in finance and banking, and I was actually in a collections unit at a bank. So part of the job was, patient collections,
Okay.
so it kind of rolled into that. I was working there one night, and someone came in from an orthopedic unit, and they were getting an MRI, and they said, we're looking for a biller or coder if you know anyone. And I said, well, gee,
Yeah.
let me see if I can move up. And I did, and I actually became a billing manager there. And then I was recruited heavily by Highmark in Pittsburgh for a risk adjustment department that they were starting. And they hounded me for 6 months, and I finally gave in. I said, okay, let's see what this is about.
Sure.
So yeah, so that's what my career progression has been. And I'm currently a project manager with Highmark, and I've been there. Actually, last week was my 8-year anniversary with them.
Congrats.
And yeah, so I handle a lot of the new coding projects that come out. I make sure that the end-to-end process is going to work. I actually do QA on our external vendor codes, the codes that they submit to us. I educate the external vendors when we find trends for miscoding, etc. I educate our internal coders as well, and I do provider education as well. So it's this whole big conglomeration. In the meantime, let me back up 2 jobs ago.
Okay.
The director of that medical insurance program at the college was leaving, and she recommended me for that position as well. And it's a part-time position, so I've been um, teaching medical insurance
Oh, wow.
from taking the insurance card all the way through appealing denials. I've been teaching at the college for 28 years. So
So as if a full-time job and being a mom and having a farmhouse and having 7+ animals is not enough. You also
right, this is true. Yes,
I love that.
it
Um,
is true.
I also love that I mean, it just goes to show how like talented you are that you have been recruited for all of your roles. That's so exciting. Good for you.
Yeah, I word of mouth is one of the best marketing tools
Oh, of
out there.
course.
So, one a bit of advice is, if you're going to have a reputation, make sure it's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's word of advice number one. I'm going to add on to my crazy schedule.
Okay.
Um, I've been the president of our local chapter, Greater Pittsburgh, for 8 of the 9 last years.
Yes, by the way, I was going to congratulate you on winning the 2021 Officer of the Year award.
Let me tell you how shocked I was during that meeting when they told me. I think I cried the entire time that
Oh,
we were talking, because I had no idea I was even nominated. I mean, I go through my day, and I get through my day, and I start thinking about the next day before I even go to sleep. And I just had no idea. They completely blindsided me, and that is truly, truly an honor.
yeah.
It hits me in the feels.
Well deserved, I'm sure. And then featured, of course, in October, the HBM. But
Yes,
that's so exciting. So, yeah. Wow. You are very busy.
yes, yeah, very busy. I do have multiple certifications, so
Yes. Please
I got,
brag. Let's hear it.
okay.
Let's hear them.
So I'm going to come up with word of advice number 2. um, I started out with the CPC. So this is when we had 5 hours, not 5 hours and 40 minutes. And um, you had to have the CPC before you could take any specialty exams. Now you can jump right into a specialty exam. So I have a CPC. And then since I was working in a radiology facility, I did obtain a radiology certification, which is now defunct. They took it away for a few years and they brought it back as the interventional radiology, the IRCC. But they didn't grandfather anybody in because it's a different animal.
Okay.
And then, so I lost that certification. And then I was working for the orthopedics, so I went and took the orthopedic certification. And at that time, we didn't have webinars. You had to drive everywhere to get your CEUs, and they didn't offer enough in orthopedics, so I lost that certification. But when I started with Highmark in the risk adjustment department, I took my CRC and I passed that. And then a few years later, I took the CDEO and I passed that. So I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 certifications if one hadn't become defunct and one had had enough CEUs in a year. So advice point number 2, maintain those CEUs.
Yeah.
Seriously, maintain your CEUs.
Well, especially, I mean, yes, and they're so much easier to get these days, right? Like with like online availability. So
right, the monthly magazine, the quarterly free webinars, please, your local chapter meetings. I can't even tell you how many times someone has come to me and said, I need CEUs. Well, you haven't been joining the chapter meetings. They're free when they're online. So join. It's 2 hours of your 2 hours of your month.
Yeah.
So join a chapter meeting once in a while. So yeah, there are very easy ways to obtain those free CEUs to maintain your certifications. Yeah. So
wow.
So let's talk a little bit about the tests themselves.
Yes.
Man, that first one, that first one I took was, whew.
Yeah. I feel like that's usually what people say is the first, it's just the shock of it. It is its own beast. And then kind of you can adjust, but please tell me about your experience.
Right. So the first one, I actually had to go to a psychiatric hospital, not afterwards. They held the test in the psychiatric hospital, Western Psych here in Pittsburgh. And when the test was over, I felt like I had been abused for a long time. My brain was battered, and I literally walked down the hill. It sits at the top of the hill. I walked down the hill, and there were several bars across the street. And I said, do I want to? I went home that night and just tried. I couldn't even remember any of the questions on the test because there was so much going on with my head at that time. But the second, third, fourth, and fifth, they were so much easier because I knew how to study.
Yeah.
After the first one.
Can you share some tips for our future examinees?
The best tip that I can give you for any of these exams, learn the guidelines. They're multiple choice exams, so they give you the answers. They're not testing your ability to look in the index and go to the tabular list and find a code because they've given you the codes. They're testing your ability to pay attention to the details in the situation and apply the appropriate guideline. So the best information I can give you is learn those guidelines. It's too late while you're sitting in the test to read. You don't have time to read the guidelines and figure out how to apply them. So learn those guidelines in advance, ask your questions for clarification, and actually the night before your exam, put everything away because it becomes muddled in your brain.
So I've done a couple of these interviews and I feel like that's almost what everyone says. Like they say, like, study hard. And then like the day before, like, let it go. Like you have to let your brain rest. And
I took a pharmacology course from a gentleman who had 7 PhDs, and I was just in awe of this man. I had never met anyone so educated, and I asked him, how do you do that? And one of his PhDs was in neuropsychiatry. I said, please give me some memory tips. And he said, study as hard as you can, but let your brain rest the day before, because that's when you get confused.
Yeah.
And then he said, and after your exam, don't pick your books back up, because you won't remember what exactly was on the test, and treat yourself well.
Yeah.
Because you have that adrenaline rush during the exam, and then when the exam's over, your adrenaline drops off, and that's when you start to feel depressed. Yeah. So treat yourself well. So when I proctor an exam, I tell people, treat yourself well tonight. You know, take your bubble bath, eat a good meal, eat that chocolate if you need it. Treat yourself well.
I love that. That's great advice. Did you utilize the practice exams or study guides, or is that something you would recommend?
I did use the study guides and practice exams for the CRC and the CDEO. They were not available at the point where I took the orthopedic and radiology. That was actually a paper booklet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how long ago that was.
Yeah, it was a minute ago.
It was a hot minute. So, yeah, but I did, for the CRC and the CDEO, I did purchase the study guides and the practice exams, and I made sure that I took them. With the practice exams, you have to watch not only your accuracy, but your speed. You have to basically do a little mathematical formula to figure out if you're going to fit within that time frame. So yeah, but I did purchase those, and actually, glutton for punishment, I have the CPB study guide here with me now.
Nice. I have heard that the practice tests or the practice exams, like the best thing they are doing is helping you allocate your time appropriately. So like accuracy is important, but it's about like recognizing like, okay, I only have this much time on these many sections or whatever, so that people don't get like bombarded on exam day, right? Like they kind of know. Yeah.
Right. I've heard from several people that the practice exams don't accurately reflect what's on the test, but I tell them, well, they're not going to give you the test questions.
Sure.
So you're looking at the format, you're looking at how the questions are structured, and you can learn how to take that test from these practice exams.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is learning to be had from them. So yes.
Good. I'm glad they've been useful for you. Okay. Any other, you have given such great advice. Just like career advice and exam readiness advice. Is there any other advice you'd want to give to people who are either new or like even like veterans in the industry?
Network. You know, I just looked it up today, 685 members in our chapter. And if we have a question, if someone has a question, they reach out to a chapter officer. We send the question out to every single chapter member, and we get, you know, we have people who are engaged with the chapter who will respond or point us in the right direction to someone who is working in that industry, maybe from a different chapter, but network.
Yeah.
Networking is where you're going to get the best information on the industry. If you want to move to another specialty, you can ask someone in the chapter. It's the best way to find out where there are openings, because our chapter members send us the open positions and we broadcast them.
Yeah. And
join the meetings. You get more information than just coding from these meetings. We have chit chat before the meetings begin. You know, we have a nice little core of members who we've met through our in-person meetings, but we've kept in touch with through the Zoom, and we keep in touch with individuals' personal lives. And so it's a nice little core that we have that attend the meetings, network. Networking is one of the best ways that you can find out information in the industry, new positions that are available, information that you need for coding. So don't just sit in a bubble by yourself. Coding is sometimes an isolated position, isolated job duty, but that doesn't stop you from networking.
I love that. Is there anything else you want to share with the AAPC community?
I have some really good recipes.
What are they for, and can you send them to me?
Crockpot. You put them in at lunch and it's done at dinner time. It's magic.
That actually sounds great. You can send them to me later. Actually, I wonder if we can you send your favorite one and we can post it with this?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I can do that.
You offered, we're taking you up on the offer.
That's fine.
Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I know that the community is really going to appreciate you sharing your expertise and tips.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Okay, bye.